Hi love, my name is Lindsay if this is your first time here, and if you've been tuning in, what's up, what's good, what's tea, welcome back. As you can tell from the title, today we will be doing part 2 of my amazing lash experience. So if you've watched my previous video on amazing lash, it was basically just the basics of it, just what amazing lash is, the positions, the roles, the salary, dress code, uniforms, all that fun stuff. Now we have to get into the nitty-gritty. So I'm going to give you my personal experience working at amazing lash for my specific franchise, and if you're interested and you want to know, then just keep on watching. So let's go.
Now rockin' with the best. Boy, don't you leave me on red. I'ma tell you one last time, stop playing with me. You know bad bitch don't come for free. You now rockin' with the best. Boy, don't you leave me on red. I'ma tell you one last time, stop playing with me and let's go.
So I first want to start off with, I started working at Amazing Lash in 2016. I was actually living home, and for those of you who don't know, I'm from Oakland, California. So I I'm like, do I want to tell y'all all of this? Might as well. So I got into a long distance relationship. That person was here in Texas. We decided we wanted to relocate to live together to try to make things work. So I basically quit my job, sold my car, packed up all my things, shipped them here, and bought a one-way plane ticket to Dallas, Texas, fam. Mind you, I had never been here before, but oh my god, if you guys want like my life journey, a video of like all those kind of fun things, let me know, because my life is kind of crazy. It's very interesting. If you do want that video, let me know in the comments down below, just to kind of catch you up to speed really quickly. So yeah, I needed to get a job in Dallas. So I had applied for Amazing Lash. I applied for an assistant management role. When I applied, I was still in California. I had never been to Dallas before. So I did let them know that during the application that I was still in California, and I told them my move-in date. I believe I applied on Indeed, and their area manager reached out to me. Or no, actually it was someone in HR. So my franchise owner owned a lot of different Amazing Lash. So I believe he owned 5, 3 in Dallas, 2 in Fort Worth, and 1 in Houston or Austin. No, Coral Gables. So it was actually like one in Florida. And then he also owned some other franchises and owned a restaurant in Houston. So he actually had a number of businesses under his, like, I would say, like, mini corporation. So he had an HR department. It wasn't a department, it was a person. He had an HR person. So she reached out to me, and she said at my interview, I did let her know that I needed to do a video interview. So I did have a video interview. It was pretty standard, pretty easy. At that point, I was super excited for the position. So I heard back from them, I would say probably like a week later. So I did like, I applied, I did a phone interview and a video interview, and then I was contacted by email letting me know that I got the position. And something that they did tell me during like the interview process was, for that specific location that they were hiring an assistant manager for, that current manager had not had an assistant manager for a while, and they were looking for someone who was super fun, super upbeat, super bubbly, to kind of offset her personality a little bit. That's no digs to anybody, but this is just what it is. If you know me, that is me in a nutshell. So I was, again, super excited. So I let them know when I was moving, I let them know when I could start. So fast forward, I moved to Dallas, get moved in, go buy a new car, all that fun stuff, get settled, and then I started work. So when I first started in the assistant management role, it was pretty standard. I did like a training, which was easy. They used Millennium, was their booking software that they used. I had not worked in Millennium before. I had worked in a few other booking softwares before, but the training was pretty standard, pretty easy. I did have to learn a script to answer the phones. So like for the front desk, you literally have to learn a script. So it's a beautiful day at Amazing Lash Studio, and then your location. This is your name. How may I assist you? So no matter if it's raining, snowing, you always have to say, answer the phone, "It's a beautiful day at Amazing Lash Studio. Like, it's so funny. But that was cool. They trained me on memberships, which again, like literally everything that they want you to do, there is a script for. You're literally just memorizing a script. So training was about 2 weeks. The majority of what they trained you on was like selling memberships in retail. You have to be able to explain what lash extensions are, the different types, the different curls, the different lengths, different lash styles, different memberships. So it's a lot that you had to learn about the industry, especially if you've never done lashes before, you know nothing about lashes, or you haven't worked in the industry before. It was a lot to learn, but it was fun. It was totally doable. And so again, training was cool, it was easy, it was fun. Then as far as like assistant management, I basically was just like the front desk managers. I started in September of 2016, and I would say September it was cool, and then October came around, and at this time I'm like fully trained, everything's okay. I'm noticing the difficulty it is with working with said manager, and I'm just realizing and understanding the reasons why she did not have or was able to keep an assistant manager. She just had one of those personality types. She didn't know how to really handle conflict, and as a studio manager, you're not always, but you're gonna have either stylists are gonna be upset, guests are gonna be upset, whoever's gonna be upset, and you have to know how to really handle conflict. And that's one thing that she didn't do very well. She wasn't very dependable, she wasn't on time, like, and then again, this is no dig to her, but this is just like, I'm trying to paint you guys a picture of what I was dealing with. So yeah, she would call out, or she would like leave for just random reasons, like any little thing, like her dog got sick, she's not coming in, like it's raining that day, she's not coming in. It was crazy, mind you. And she made the schedule, and she had like really all opening shifts. She didn't have any closing shift, which for most people who know, if you're closing a salon or anything like that, that's where you mostly would have to do like the cleaning and stuff. So she was not doing closing shifts at all. Yeah, she just wasn't easy to talk to. She wasn't really fun to work with, and yes. So she just wasn't a people person. So October, things are starting to get a little weird. I'm like, okay, whatever, like I can go through this. Mind you, when I took this position, before, when I was working back home in California, I was working at a Aveda salon in San Francisco, and keep in mind I was making $18 an hour, and now in Texas I moved in at that position, the assistant manager for Amazing Lash, I was making $11 an hour. So I took a significant pay cut, which at the time I was young, so I think I was like 22, or I think I just turned 23. And back home I didn't have any significant bills. I drove a used car, I lived with like family, so I wasn't out on my own. Like only thing that I really had to pay for was car insurance and then gas. That was it. Like I was able to do whatever I wanted with my money. And then moving to Texas, I had rent to pay. I now had a new car, so I had a car note, and then I had to buy my own groceries and pay electric bills and stuff like that. And so I didn't realize how big of a difference that would be. Granted, I did save quite a bit of money to move here, and then I didn't move here by myself, so I was splitting everything, but that definitely took a toll on me. And then the relationship that I came here for, we kind of got into it, and it just wasn't what I was expecting. I found some things about that I didn't like, and at this point it was about November, and so things at home weren't good. I had no friends or family. I'm isolated in this new place, and then me and the person I was was in a relationship with, we're like not seeing eye to eye. And then I'm having like financial issues, just not being able to afford the things that I was used to being able to afford. And then at work, it was just like this whole thing with like this manager, and she was just like, I don't want to say she was the worst, but like I just felt like I got the shit end of the stick. Like I would have to work every single weekend. I would mainly close. Like if anybody called out, they were calling me to cover shifts, like because she basically was not covering shifts. It just was a lot, and it was very, very stressful, and it just wasn't a fun place to work. And so that's when I kind of decided that I wanted to go back to California. and I went back to California for a few months. So yeah, I had left there in, I want to say December of 2016, the first time. So from September 2016 to December 2016, I was an assistant manager. Then I moved back to California, was there until probably like April or May, and then I decided, you know what, I'm gonna try this again. So I again applied to Amazing Lash for the assistant management position for the same franchise, and of course they accepted me because one, I didn't leave on bad terms, and two, I already have all this training, so it's easier for them to bring me on and put me in the position than to hire someone new and have to train them all over again. So yes, but because when I left, I basically let them know that it was like issues with the manager at that specific location that I was working at, so they decided to put me on a different location because, like I said, the franchise owner had multiple locations, so he had 3 locations in Dallas, so he just put me at a, well, not him, but I was able to be placed at a different location within his franchise. And so I got back to Dallas, started working at the new location, and loved it. I loved the manager there. I'm a Virgo and she was a Virgo, so everything was just so neat, clean, organized. She was so sweet. Anything that I wanted or needed, she answered every single question, was on time. She was just very diligent, and everybody at that location loved her. And it was like a breath of fresh air. I'm like, okay, perfect, like this should go way better. Like, I'm really excited to work. So I get back into this role, and I'm working with this manager for about 2 weeks, and she lets me know that she's actually leaving and this location will no longer have a manager. So again, I'm an assistant manager and she's a studio manager, so now as a studio manager she's leaving. So I was like, okay. She's like, but they're working to get another studio manager really quick, so just hang in there while that person gets trained. It might be a little funky in the beginning, but they'll hire someone great. But of course in my head I'm like, oh my goodness, they could hire someone horrible. Like this experience that I just got out of, like it was a lot. So she ended up leaving, and I was basically managing the studio by myself in my assistant manager role. I would say maybe a week or 2 after she had left and they were supposed to be hiring a new studio manager, 2 of the studio managers in Fort Worth quit, and those were the other locations. So the franchise owner has 5 locations in DFW, so 3 in Dallas, 2 in Fort Worth. So both of the managers in Fort Worth quit, and now you have one of the Dallas managers that they were already supposed to be replacing. Because the locations in Fort Worth brought in more revenue and was like a higher volume store, that was their priority. So now instead of them having to hire and train 1 studio manager, they have to find, hire, and train 3. So this process that would usually, I would say, take a month, took about 3. And in this time, basically I was working with our area manager at the time, and I was basically keeping the salon afloat. I was basically doing everything that a studio manager would be responsible for doing, but they still were paying me as an assistant manager. So I'm conducting meetings, making schedules, doing payroll, doing hours, doing interviews, helping with hiring, everything, covering shifts, having like sales meetings and numbers and goals, like literally everything that a studio manager would be doing, I was basically doing with assistance of the area manager. But mind you, she's like the area manager of 6 different locations, so she can't just sit here and babysit me, and I'm not the only location without a studio manager at that point. So it was like she was worn very thin. So it was really hard. It was really difficult. And so basically the way they kind of explained it to me was like, okay, you don't have a studio manager, we're in the process of finding studio managers, but we're gonna give you all of these duties to fulfill what a studio manager would be doing, and if you do them well, then we might as well just it'll be easier for us to just to promote you into a studio manager and then just get you an assistant manager, which to me, yeah, that makes sense. But mind you, they didn't train me on these things, not a deep in-depth training like they would have done for a new studio manager. So it's kind of like they just like threw me in and was like, okay, we'll see how you do. And I feel like for the lack of training, I did well. But as far as like hitting goals and stuff like that, mind you, that location was never hitting its sales goals to begin with. And that was with a studio manager and an assistant manager. Child, it was hard. It was very, very, very difficult. And I'm just gonna kind of wrap it up and just say that. And then the fact that I was not getting paid what I should have been getting paid, they basically told me, oh, well, we'll keep you at assistant manager pay now, and then if your studio bonuses, then we'll give you the bonus structure that we would give a studio manager. In my mind, I'm like, okay, cool, great. No one told me that that studio or that location had never bonused. So they knew that. They were like, okay, we don't have to pay her more. We'll say if she bonuses, knowing damn well that I wasn't gonna bonus. So I was like, okay. So then a few months of doing that and kind of just like not being supported, not really getting what I needed, and not being compensated for the work that I was doing, I was so burnt out. I was so tired. I was like, oh yeah, I can't do this. Mind you, so there were a lot of things that were in place that I actually was very good at, and things that they asked me to do that I had like under control. For instance, they didn't want us to have anyone frozen, like their memberships frozen, which means basically when you have a membership, it automatically takes out of your account either every month or every 2 weeks, depending on what membership you're in. So if you freeze it, it's gonna basically, without you having to cancel it, it just won't charge you for that month. And they basically told all the managers like, oh, we don't want you to have any more freezes. That's something that we're not doing anymore. So we basically had to like get 0% for freezes. They wanted us to have a certain percentage of cancellations, like a very low percentage of cancellations per month. Basically us talking people out of canceling their memberships. And so those are the type of numbers that I was actually hitting and doing really well in. It wasn't that I was bringing in more sales, it was that I was just kind of maintaining the flow that we already had very well. But of course that wasn't enough for them. Anyways, so they finally had hired 3 new studio managers, and they were like in the process of training them. And so once we got ours like semi-trained, she came into the location, and when I said she came in and she took over, and not in a good way. Everything that I had put in place, everything that like we were doing that worked, she didn't want to hear it, she didn't want to do it, like everything. She was like, oh, they don't want any more freezes, but she's sitting here freezing people. I'm just like, all the work that I had done in those months, she was undoing, and I was furious because again, up until this point, they made it seem like I was gonna get promoted for that position, and then out of nowhere they're just like, oh no, you're basically you're not hitting the sales goals, you're not bringing in new revenue, blah 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 blah. Which I could have and would have had I been trained properly, but that's a different conversation. So then they just bring in this random person, and they're just like, oh yeah, you're not getting the promotion, this person is your new manager. And she just did what she wanted to do, and I was like, oh, I'm done, and literally walked out because they were in there just it was something, and it was just like the straw that broke the camel's back, and I was so done. And so that was in 2017. But mind you, while I was assistant manager and we didn't have a studio manager, I had did payroll, and I was seeing how much money the lash stylists were making, and they were making so much more than me. And I was like, oh, I'm on the wrong side of this. I need to figure out how I can do this. Basically, when I left as a studio manager, I had worked like a couple of like jobs here and there, and I had decided that I wanted to go to beauty school to get my aesthetics license so that I can do lash extensions. I would say, so that was 2017. I wanted to start school at the end of 2017, but I wasn't able to actually get in until the beginning of 2018. So I started school February 2018, graduated August of 2018, and then of course, once I got my license, I went back to Amazing Lash, but this time as a lash artist. And I know what y'all are thinking. You quit twice. Why are you coming back a third time? Nothing's changed, and it was for the same franchise. But there's one thing. So I did a lot of research, and Amazing Lash is one of the only, well, I shouldn't say only, is one of the very few places, if you get hired on as a lash artist, they basically train you for free. Like, they send you to their training center, and they show you the Amazing Lash technique, and they will train you how to do lashes for free. Which, if you don't know, or maybe some of you do know, lash courses can cost anywhere from $800 upward to $3,000. And this is for something that you don't know if you're gonna be good at, you don't know if you're gonna like, you don't know if you're gonna be able to even do. So there's nothing else like it. You can't be like, oh, I'm good at this, so I'll be good at lashes. Or if there's literally no comparison. So in my mind, I was like, I can't bring myself, and I couldn't afford it. I could not go and pay, let's just say on the lower end, $800 for a lash course. And I didn't even know if I was even gonna be able to hold tweezers. Like, I had no idea. So I was like, okay, that's out. So how can I learn how to do lashes for free? So that's what I did. And of course, because I already knew Amazing Lash and I already knew how to sell memberships and all that fun stuff, they hired me. I got sent to a lash training, and the lash training was because our franchise owner has so many locations, and he's basically the one who like sells to other franchise locations in like DFW. They basically went ahead and opened up their own like training center. So that's like one of the perks, like, hey, if you open this Amazing Lash, you can send your artist to our training center and we, like, I don't know if it's for free or what, but it's like, we'll train them for you. So you go to the training center. So this was in 2018, the end of 2018. Went to the training center. It was like a week. At that time, we learned classic lashes, which are the 1-to-1, and then we learned how to do volume lashes, but they were pre-made volumes. If you want to know how like the interviews go for each one of these positions, or the questions they ask, or what they're looking for, definitely go check out my other video. I'll link it in the cards above as well as in the description bar below. So back to the story. So yes, training was a week long. They basically went over like one day of like theory and just like telling you about lashes, the do's and don'ts, different glue, lash styles, all that fun stuff. And then I believe day 3, 4, and 5 is when you'll take lash models, and then you'll have an evaluation, and based on that evaluation from a trainer, they will tell your studio manager like, okay, this is what they're really good at, this is what they need to help with, this is what they need to focus on in studio, and this is how many more lash models they need to complete in studio. So depending on that number, the next week you're scheduled at your studio that you're gonna actually be at, and you have to complete that number of models, and you have to basically get better at whatever they said you needed to work on. So if it was isolation, let's say they're like, okay, you need to complete 6 more models, and she needs to work on her isolation and placement. You have those 6 models, but if at the end of those 6 models you're still struggling, then it's a no. Some people don't even pass training altogether. You do have to be able to lash 85% of lashes within 2 hours, and then you have to be able to get like the tape downs, and there's a specific way that they want you to lash, which is like the Amazing Lash technique. They claim that the technique makes you be able to lash faster. In my personal opinion, I don't believe it to be so, but because that's the way that I lash, I kind of have that as my basis, as my technique, and then I just kind of now just do what's comfortable for me. That was a big thing too, was I was so focused on, oh, I have to do the technique a certain way, which it feels backwards. Like, if you worked at Amazing Lash and you've taken the lash training, then you know. If not, it's really hard to explain. So when you do it on your right hand, if you're right-handed and you're on the right eye, it's fine. But if you're right-handed and to go to the left hand side, you literally have to do everything backwards, and it's so uncomfortable. It's a mess. And then the way that they have you place the strips of lashes on the iPads, so when you pick it up, the iPad lifts, so then the lashes lift the tape comes off and then you have lashes exposed. Like, it's a hot mess. But yes, I was really stressed about that because I was fine with actually lashing, but it was the technique. And so when I actually got into the studio and I was doing my models, I actually had to do 2 weeks of models because we didn't have really anyone in studio like training us. It'll be people who periodically would come and check our lashes like when our models are done, but we never had like one specific trainer other than I would say the first 2 days. Other than that, we didn't have anyone else, so we basically had to do like a whole bunch of models. It was terrible. But typically a location will have an in-studio trainer, either one or two. They're typically either a senior and master stylist, and they're there to train you in studio. That's what they do. So we didn't really have anyone to do that for us. So yeah, we had to do, I believe we ended up doing, I would say anywhere between like 12 to 15 models within those 2 weeks. It was a lot. It was terrible. We were getting paid our hourly, which was $10 an hour, but because we weren't charging for lashes, like our models were free. If they chose to tip us, that they could, but it's not like we were making any commission or retail or anything like that off of them. So there was that. And then they were mostly just full sets because of course they're models, and I didn't know anyone really who already had lashes on that I could just have models for refills. I didn't know anyone really, period. Yes, so training was good. So once we passed training, we got put on the schedule. That location that I was at was actually the first location that I had initially worked at with the manager who wasn't so, yeah. But because as a lash artist, you're basically just in your room the whole time, it wasn't as bad as like actually having to work with her day in and day out. So, and I wouldn't say I didn't have to talk to her, like, so we spoke and we were cordial, but as far as like, I didn't really see her every single day or like had to work with her or had to talk to her about things. Like, we'll have a monthly one-on-one where she would just like, oh, these are your numbers, these are your goals, but that was really it. Majority of my time I'm in my room, so I would come up, get my guests, and go back. And I enjoyed that job. That location that I was at was very, very busy, so for the most part I stayed busy. I worked a lot. When I first started, I was working 2 12-hour days and 2 8-hour days, so I was getting my 40 hours in 4 days, which I didn't mind. I wouldn't say I wasn't making a lot of money because I was, but because I hadn't been making a lot of money since 2016, so basically for 2 years, and while I was in school I really wasn't making no money, and I felt like I was just like behind on bills, so I was basically trying to catch back up. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna work as much as I can. So I ended up picking up another day, so working overtime, and then I worked as an esthetician at Bliss Spa. I worked there part-time, so like mainly on Saturdays, which with me working basically 6 days a week, getting overtime at Amazing Lash, and then picking up Saturdays at a spa whose busiest days were Saturdays, I made I wouldn't say a shit ton of money, but I made the most money that I had ever made in my life. It was really, really good money, but of course with all that work comes burnout and comes stress. And so that was kind of that. So I had worked there from September of 2018 up until September of 2019. Yeah, so I was basically 6 days a week just thugging it out, making my money. And then I just started to kind of feel like I was being pushed too hard, whether it was being pushed too hard to sell retail to people who didn't need things or didn't need a specific product, but they wanted us to hit the sales so bad that they wanted us to sell to whoever for whatever. I was pushed again to up my time. So with Amazing Lash, it's kind of like a diner. Like, they want as many people in and out as quick as possible. That's the mentality. They don't care about quality, they care about quantity. They want you to hit the maximum amount of clients per day. So with that being said, the faster you lash, the more clients that you're able to see per day. So they push you extremely hard in order to move up and be faster. So So when I first started, I was an entry-level stylist, and my full sets were 2 hours and my fills were an hour. Then I would say after about 3 months, they push you, or I wouldn't say 3, I would say like 3 to 5 months, they want you to become a junior stylist. So that cuts your full sets down 30 minutes. So your full sets are an hour and a half and your refills are 60 minutes. When I tell y'all, going from 2 hours to an hour and a half, like, it was hard, but it was kind of mind over matter. And it was like, if this is all the time that I have, then this is what I can do. And honestly, I feel like it held me back a lot because I am a perfectionist. Lashes take time, and it's just what it is. Different people have different amounts of lashes, different curls of lashes. Some people's lashes are super easy, some people are a little bit more difficult. And to me, putting a time limit on lashing just in general makes no sense, especially for people who are beginners. So I just didn't feel like I was giving people like the work that I knew that I could be doing, but I was like, okay, this is what it is. Like, this is what they're paying for, so this is what I'm giving them. But their lashes wouldn't last. We have to use all Amazing Lash products, so down from the lashes, glues, primers, everything was Amazing Lash. So you really didn't have any leadway to be like, okay, this is the best glue for me and my clients, this is the best. Like, you had no say over any of that. And so that kind of took a toll on me. And then I just felt like my clients were coming back with not a lot of lashes. They were having issues because I'm like trying to get them in and out and get them as full as possible. Clients will repeatedly come in late, and they say that they have a 15-minute like policy, and after 15 minutes you're not supposed to be able to get your service. But they'll be like, oh well, you're 15 minutes late, your lash stylist will only be able to do whatever it is that they can do, and you won't get a free correction. Which, okay, in theory is cool for the client, but as a lash artist, if someone's 15 minutes late to, let's say, an hour appointment, and they come in with 20% of lashes on, which they're to be considered a fill, it's supposed to be 50% or more, but people will literally come on with like 4 lashes on this side and 3 lashes on this side and be like, I'm here for a fill and I'm 15 minutes late. And it's like, as an artist, you can't turn down a client working for Amazing Lash, so you just have to do what you can. And so of course you're gonna try to put as many lashes as you can on as quickly as you can, because for one, you're only getting paid $10 an hour. So for this set that for this fill that you're doing, you're getting paid $10. Then if they're not happy with how full or how their lashes look, they won't tip you, or they'll tip you $5. Let's say they tip you $5. Now you just made $15 off of this fill that you did. And then if they don't rebook with you again, you don't get that commission. So now you just had to do a fill and you just got $10, maybe $15 for it. Or you do a full set and your full sets are 2 hours, and let's say, for instance, you'll get, it's 2 hours, so you get $10 an hour, that's $20, and let's say they tip you $20. And that's being very gracious. Very gracious. They're typically, for a full set, they're not gonna tip you $20, but you just got $40 for that full set that you did. I was like, this is crazy. It's insane. Like, we were basically getting nothing, and we were in this like really uncomfortable environment where we had to do this technique that was uncomfortable. We were pushed to sell products, which was uncomfortable. We had to take clients who weren't very nice. They didn't have any lashes, they didn't clean their lashes, they complained all the time, but we still had to take them. They always wanted to come back to you. Uncomfortable. And now we're getting pushed to go even faster. And I was like, okay, this money's not worth it. Like, I'm not growing, I'm not learning, I don't feel that I'm happy here. And so I was like, you know what, I think I could do this on my own. So I calculated, well, I made a list of everything that I felt like I needed, how much it was gonna be, where I was gonna get it from, and I kind of just went from there. I will definitely make a video of lash stylist must-haves and give you guys kind of like my lash tour. I lash from home. It's like a little section of my apartment, but it's super cute, it's super fun, my clients love it. And yes, that was my journey at Amazing Lash. Oh, so of course I quit. Like, yeah, so and I have been lashing on my own since December of 2019 technically. I didn't really lash in 2020 because you already know. So I just started again recently, like within the last couple months, and my clientele is slowly getting bigger, which I love. So if you are in the DFW area and you're looking for a lash artist, definitely hit me up. I'll go ahead and leave my Instagram either on the screen or down below for my personal as well as my lash Instagram. I don't post on there a lot, but I will definitely start posting more. DM me and I will definitely get your lashes done for you. I think that's it. Definitely, if you love this video, you found value in it, just were entertained at all, give me a thumbs up. Go ahead and subscribe if you haven't already. Join the family, join the gang. As always, I love you so, so much. Thank you for tuning in and getting to the end of this video. It means so much to me. And I will catch y'all in my next one. Peace.